A woman filed an elder abuse complaint against me because her mother knitted me a scarf. I started volunteering at Sunrise Senior Living after my husband died just to fill the silence. Immediately, I noticed most residents had visitors, but Dorothy didn't. She sat by the window watching out every afternoon, alone, knitting something while either crying or staring into space. One day I sat next to her. "What are you making?" She looked at me like I'd spoken a foreign language. Then she smiled. Nobody's asked me that in 4 years. We talked for 3 hours. After that, I visited every Tuesday and Thursday. Puzzles, game shows. She taught me to knit. I brought her favorite cookies. Oatmeal raisin, soft, not crunchy. "My daughter put me here when I was 81, she told me once. Does she visit?" Dorothy's needles stopped. She's busy. 4 years. I checked the sign-in log, no visitor history. Then Christmas came around. Dorothy gave me a scarf, pale blue and striped. Mine and my husband's wedding date was knitted into it in olive green, his favorite color. Took her 3 months. "You gave me a reason to finish something again," she said. I cried into her shoulder for hours. It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. 2 weeks later, a woman was waiting at the nursing home entrance. "Are you the one visiting my mother?" she asked. I looked at her. Expensive coat, cold eyes. "You must be Dorothy's daughter." "Stay away from her," she cut me off. "Excuse me?" "I know what you're doing. Befriending a vulnerable old woman, getting her to give you things." She pointed at my scarf. "That's handmade. Do you know how much her work is worth?" I stared in confusion as she walked past me. I tried to follow her, but that's when the front desk stopped me. "Ma'am, you've been removed from the approved visitor list." My eyes shot open. "By who?" "Family request." I couldn't believe it. I'd been volunteering for almost half a year. I called the facility for a week straight, left messages with the staff, asked them to tell Dorothy I was thinking of her. Nothing. Then one day, I got the letter. Elder Abuse Prevention Board. Dorothy's daughter was claiming I was abusing her. There was a hearing happening in 3 weeks. I opened the letter and my jaw dropped instantly. I was being sued and requested to pay for Dorothy's emotional and physical labor. The following things were attached: companionship visits, 3 hours weekly, XX 16 weeks, $7,200 at $150 per hour, fair market rate. Emotional labor extracted from elderly victims, $16,000. Handcrafted scarf, labor plus materials, $450, constituting coerced gift giving. Cookies paid for by my mother and consumed during visits, estimated $48.96. Puzzle completion assistance, $200. Television viewing companionship, $600. Total, $24,546. I called the nursing home again, begged to speak to Dorothy. "She's not doing well," the nurse said quietly. "Stopped eating last week, won't leave her room. Please, just tell her I didn't abandon her." "I can't. Family orders." I drove to the facility, sat in the parking lot for an hour, watched her window. The curtains were closed, first time in 6 months. I went home and cried until I couldn't breathe. My lawyer said we had no case. The daughter had power of attorney, legal authority. The itemized list was absurd, but technically the complaint was valid. "She's isolating her," I said. "Dorothy has no one else." "That's not illegal." The hearing was scheduled for January 15th, 3 days after Dorothy's 86th birthday. The hearing happened in a gray conference room. The daughter had a lawyer and a rolling briefcase. She stood up, professional, rehearsed. "My mother is 85 years old and suffers from loneliness-induced vulnerability. This woman exploited that vulnerability systematically." She pulled out exhibits, photographs of me signing the visitor log, the scarf knitted for me in an evidence bag, a receipt for oatmeal raisin cookies. She extracted nearly $25,000 in services and goods from my mother over 4 months. Companionship that should have been provided by licensed professionals. Handcrafted items representing hundreds of hours of labor. She held up the scarf like a murder weapon. This scarf alone took 3 months to complete. 3 months of an elderly woman's limited time and energy. Manipulated, exploited, stolen. She placed it on the table. My mother was targeted because she was alone, vulnerable, desperate for connection. This woman saw that desperation and used it. The board members were taking notes. My lawyer looked at his watch. Then the door opened. Dorothy wheeled in. Oxygen tank, Sunday dress, thinner than I remembered. "Mom, you're supposed to be—" "Sit down," she yelled with all her strength. She wheeled to the front, trembling but steady. "I made that scarf because I wanted to. Mom, you put me in that home and disappeared. I was busy." "You weren't busy when you drained my checking account." The daughter's face went white. "You weren't busy when you sold my house. That was for your care. I've seen the invoices." Dorothy looked at the board. "My daughter is charging this woman for cookies, for visiting me, for caring." She turned back to her daughter. "You want to talk about exploitation? Explain why a stranger had to teach me I was still worth talking to." Silence. "You don't get to throw me away and then decide who's allowed to pick me up." The complaint was dismissed. An investigation was opened into the daughter. Dorothy moved into my guest room last month. She knits by the window. I bring her soft cookies.